Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Mason. I'm the program lead for computer science here at Southwestern. And in this video, I just want to talk about our new computer science program that's new as of the 24-25 academic year. So starting in fall of 2024 will be when you can start that program. Currently, there are two programs, and I want to share my screen with you. So before the 24-25 academic year, there were basically two options for people interested in completing a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and starting out that degree at Southwestern. The primary way was the Computer Science Transfer degree, which is technically the Associate of Science Transfer, Oregon Transfer in Computer Science. So many of you are probably in this program now, and this column summarizes those requirements. Okay, so two writing classes, calculus 1 and 2, and math 111 and 112 aren't technically required, but most people need to take them because they are prerequisites for calculus. It's possible for you to test out of those, but most people end up taking those. A speech class, 3 arts and letters, 2 social science classes, a health class. You have two options, one 3 credit hour class or three 1 credit hour class. 4 science classes, computer science, and also in addition to this computer science sequence, there is the 2 economics classes, which were added there. And so this current program is relatively inflexible in that you like 86 of your credits are pretty much mandated for you. And so you're only left with 4 credit hours of electives. So you don't get a lot of flexibility in that degree. Okay, so that's the old degree. And kind of the guarantee that comes with this degree is that if you complete this degree at SWOCC or even another community college, when you transfer into a university, they will basically consider your general education to be complete. Okay, so that's kind of a guarantee you get with the Associate of Science Oregon Transfer Program. Now, there was another program which some people who are interested in computer science will get advised into by some of the intake advisors. Um, it's the General Associate of Art Oregon Transfer. So it's somewhat like this one, but more general. Okay, so the ASOT-CS is made for computer science specifically. This one is made so that you could transfer into almost any degree, but it's not really great, in my opinion, for computer science students or students who want to do a computer science degree because it doesn't get you everything you need. A lot of people end up in this program because of this row right here, math. They don't want to take calculus. Okay. Um, so if you don't want to take calculus, but you're interested in computer science, then you can do this degree. Um, Again, it's very flexible. It looks a lot like this degree in terms of the general education. So you've got similar writing requirements, you've got similar speech, similar arts and letters, social science. A lot of that is very similar, but there's no major requirement, right? Because it's generic. So you can pick whatever you want to take. And so a lot of people will choose this degree, and for their electives, which there are a lot of, right? So you get 40 electives, 40 credits of electives. And so a lot of people will just take the computer science courses, right? For that and transfer with their AAOT. The problem with that approach is that when you get to the university, you're kind of behind because the university, if you're going to go into their computer science program, their Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, they will definitely make you take calculus, and you're already behind because you haven't taken it. And there's going to be higher math that they ask you to take too. And so you're going to be a good bit behind if you don't have calculus done in your first 2 years. And that's the main disadvantage of the AAOT degree. Okay. So those are kind of the two old programs that fall under this Oregon transfer concept. Now, there are new programs, as I mentioned, starting in 24-25 that follow a different construct. It's something called the major transfer map. in Oregon. It's a statewide program. You can Google major transfer map in Oregon if you want to learn more about it. But it's similar to these degrees, except you get slightly different guarantees. The guarantee you get if you complete the Associate of Science transfer, computer science. So you notice that we dropped the O. So we now have a degree called the Associate of Science transfer without the Oregon in computer science. And the guarantee that comes with that degree is if you complete this degree, the universities that you transfer to guarantee that you can complete your Bachelor of Science in Computer Science in 2 years and 90 credit hours. Okay, so that's the guarantee that they give you if you complete this degree at a community college. And the new program is actually a lot better in my opinion, and I want to show you why. Now, there are two different options for this program, depending on what college you might want to transfer to. Okay, so there is this track in column G that is set up for those who want to go to Oregon State, Portland State, or University of Oregon. Okay, so this track is I'll call it the harder track, or a lot of computer science people will describe this as the systems track. It's more engineering oriented and therefore a little bit more technical. And you'll see why that is in a second, or what makes it more technical in a second. Okay, and the other track is more general. So it's not quite as engineering focused, quite as specific. It's more general and levies less requirements on you right now. And that's what you want to take if you transfer to Eastern, Southern, or Western Oregon University. Okay. By the way, you do not have to decide this your first year. The first year, these two programs look the same, and I'll show you what the program schedule looks like in a minute. But I just wanted to relieve any anxiety that you don't need to decide this until you start your second year. Okay, which of these tracks you're going to be on. Okay, so I just want to cover real quick the difference between these two tracks and why I think these are better before we go into more specifics about what your schedule looks like on these. Okay, so writing is similar. You're going to take two writing classes, but you can see here that for this track, they want writing 227, which is a technical reports class. And in this track, they want you to take writing 122, which is just another composition class that kind of builds on writing 121. Writing 121 is like just a general writing class. Okay. Math is going to be pretty much the same for the new tracks as it is old. You need to take calculus. Okay. If you want to do a computer science program, you're doing calculus. So that's just something you have to get used to. And because you're doing calculus, you're probably going to have to take Math 111, 112, unless you test out of that. Okay. One new thing that is added to this program, the Oregon State, Portland State, University of Oregon, is discrete math. Okay, Math 231 and Math 232. It's an additional thing that you'll be taking. I do recommend these classes. So even if you end up on this track for whatever reason, you're going to have a lot more electives on this track, as we'll see in a second. I do recommend you take these because they're very useful. In fact, if it were up to me, I would make this required here, but they're not. Okay. Speech. So your speech class is basically just 111 now. And actually, I just realized this should be COM 111 because we just renamed this course. It's now COM 111Z. So I'm all the time discovering things that get updated. COM 111Z. All right, is what you have to take. Now here is the advantage of the new classes, okay, or the new degree. Okay, so the new degree, these two degrees, which are new, basically what they tried to do when they made these is reduce the general education requirements so that you have more electives or more credits available to take technical classes. Okay, so that better prepares you to complete your Bachelor of Science Computer Science degree because these two degrees, in my opinion, and apparently in the opinion of the group that came up with it, Computer Science Major Transfer Map, have a little bit too much general education for a technical degree like computer science. Okay. So one advantage of that major transfer map, which we talked about earlier, is that it allows the different disciplines to decide what is appropriate for that discipline. And in computer science discipline, it was decided in Oregon and most places that you need more technical classes and less general education. Okay. So when you look at the arts and letters requirement, you see it's lower. Okay. So you only need 2 arts and letters classes instead of 3. Okay. Say 3 courses there. And the social science requirement is lower. Okay, so in the general transfer degrees, you need 4 social science courses, and you only need 2 in this new degree. The reason it says only 2 courses are required here for this ASOT-CS degree is because the economics 201 and 202 were prescribed as part of the computer science curriculum. So from a statewide perspective, these 2, economics 201 and 202, are counting for your other 2 courses here. So that's why it says 2 instead of 4. If you look at the statewide ASOT-CS requirements, it would say 4 courses. We just locally said you have to take 4 courses, but 2 of them are going to be Econ 201, 202. All right, so you got less arts and letters, you got less social science, and no health. Okay, so no health requirement there, so less courses. All right, next, natural science. You see that you did have to take 4 science courses, so you have to take 3 if you do this track, and 2 if you do this track. Now, if you do this track, you need to take a full sequence of courses. So that means you need to take, for example, biology 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so 201, 202, 203. Or chemistry 221, 222, 223. You need to complete a full sequence. And actually, there are more than these 3 available now. That's a brand new change that's hot off the press. So now there's like 5 or 6 options that you can take. You can do physics. You can do calculus-based physics. You can do chemistry, you can do biology, you can do geology, and you can do a combination of chemistry and biology. It's I think the first chemistry class and then the first 2 biology classes. But the key here is that you have to take a sequence, a full sequence. Now, in the Eastern, Southern, Western track, you can pick any 2 lab science courses. You can do 1 biology, 1 chemistry, whatever you want. You just need 2 lab science courses. Okay. Cultural literacy is the same across the board, and this double counts as either a arts and letters or social science. Okay, so there's a list of cultural literacy courses that you can choose from, and they're all either an arts and letters or a social science, and that double counts. So for example, if you choose one of the social science cultural literacy ones, it would also count towards one of these social science courses. All right. So when it comes to computer science, there is a difference here. We're adding a new course called CS 205. That's System Programming and Architecture. So that's getting down to lower level programming. Okay, so CS 160 is an orientation. 161 and 162 are basically just C++ programming courses. And then CS 260 is a data structures course. Okay. And then, and so those are required for basically any program. And the CS 205 is a new one that goes down to understanding assembly language a little bit more. So getting a little bit closer to the machine. So that's required for the Oregon State, Portland State, University of Oregon track, but not for the other one. All right. So if you take a look here at the approximate number of credits that are included in the required courses, you can see how many free electives are left available because all of these degrees are 90 credit hours. Okay. So the more courses are prescribed or required, the less electives that you have. So you can see that for this track, this new track, you actually have a lot of electives available. 26 credits of electives is pretty flexible. For this one, not that many, but a lot more than you had before. You had only 4 credits before. Now you have 10 credits. Okay, so that's the big difference. The reason this says approximate is because these are all estimated because, for instance, some arts and letters classes are 4 credits and some are 3 credits, and some social sciences are 4 credits and some are 3. And when it comes to the lab sciences, some of them are 4 and some of them are 5 credits. Okay, so that's why we say approximate, because it just depends on which specific courses that you end up selecting. Okay, so those are the overall options. These two, if you're currently an ASOT-CS or AAOT, you can stick with that program if you want to and graduate with that one. Although I would recommend that you switch to one of the new ones just because I like the guarantee of the new ones better than, again, the new ones guarantee you that you only have a 2-year path uh, to complete your Bachelor of Science, a 90 credit. You don't get that exact same guarantee for this one. With this one, you just get the guarantee that your general education is complete. Okay. So if you are in either one of these degrees and you want to pursue a degree in computer science, I do recommend that you switch to one of these 2 programs over here. All right. And in the future, this one's going to go away. So new students coming in won't have the option to select this one because, in my opinion, there's nothing about this degree that's better than these degrees. There's no reason you'd want to pick this one over this one unless you're basically already almost done and just want to finish up the degree that you started. All right. So now I'm going to focus on these 2 degrees, and I just want to show you a program information sheet. This is information that will be published in our catalog. It's not right now, but it will be very soon. But I want to share this document. I'll make it available in as a link in the video notes. Okay, so look down below the video on YouTube there for the link, and I'll have this link there. All right, so this is just a description of the program and a summary of the requirements. So I highlighted in yellow the additional things that you have to do in the OSU, PSU, UO track. So one way to think about it is this track is basically everything in this track plus a few things, okay? And the plus a few things are highlighted in yellow. So these are the extra things that you have to do, right? 3 courses here instead of just any 2 courses. The only difference, the only thing that makes that statement not true is the writing 122 versus the writing 227. Okay, because on this track you take 227 instead of 122. Okay, so that's all basically what we talked about already. Okay, so this is just another way to present what we talked about. What I want to look at now is the recommended schedule that you do for your SWOCC program, because a lot of our courses are only offered once per year. And so if you follow this schedule, you're guaranteed to have the courses you need available. Okay. So the first year, as I said, both tracks have the same schedule. All right. So it's done that way intentionally, so you don't have to make a decision until your second year. So you have a year to think about what college you might want to transfer to. Okay. So that's what that looks like. 160, 161, 162. You're going to go ahead and knock out that initial programming sequence. You're going to do the math as soon as possible. Now, there is some flexibility in math. We like 111, for example, 112, that those are offered every term. Calculus is not offered every term. I think it's only offered in fall and spring, if I remember correctly. But there's some variation there, but it will definitely be offered in spring. Okay. Your writing course comes arts and letters class here, arts and letters, social science, social science. Okay, so that's what your first year is going to look like. And by the way, in your second year, you should decide which college you want to transfer to. If you don't know which college you're going to transfer to, even in your second year, I strongly recommend that you do the OSU, PSU, UO track. Okay, so if you don't know what program you're going to do, or if you're going to transfer out of state to somewhere other than Oregon, I really strongly recommend that you do the OSU, PSU, UO track because it's just the best one for computer science. Okay, so the other track, this one is more flexible. And it works great if you're going to go to one of these three universities because they have their program set up so that you're going to get your bachelor's degree on time. But most other universities that you go to are going to expect you to have discrete math, for example. Most universities are going to expect you to have that if you come in your junior year already. Okay. So I do strongly recommend you pick this track if you don't know where you're transferring to. Okay. So the second year, this is for the OSU, PSU, UO track. All right. So you'll continue with data structures in the winter, and that's that system programming class, that assembly language class, and math, writing, calculus 2, science 2. So this is going to be a rough term. So go ahead and prepare for it. That's going to be a lot to do, but there's no helping it. Okay. And then if you take a look at the other track, the Eastern, Southern, and Western Oregon one, this is the advantage of that track, right? You get a lot of electives, a lot of electives. So in this one, you have some electives here, and you have an elective here. Okay, so you get like 3 electives in there. In this one, you have lots of electives. Okay, so this one is good, for example, if you want to go to somewhere that doesn't honor the major transfer map agreement. Okay, so the universities in Oregon that follow the major transfer map agreement are these, right? Eastern, Southern, Western, OSU, PSU, UO. Missing from here is OIT, for example. So a lot of people want to go to OIT. OIT doesn't participate in this because they don't offer a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science degree. This whole major transfer map, AST-CS, is designed for completing a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. OIT does not offer that exactly, right? Now they do have, for example, an engineering technology degree in software development. Okay, so that's great, right? If you want to be a software developer, you could go get your Bachelor of Science in Computer Science using any of this. That's all great. Or you can go to OIT and get a software development degree or any of the other engineering degrees that they have. Could be just as great for you to do from a career perspective. But because their degree isn't technically a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, they don't participate in this particular program. And so what you want to do if you're going to OIT or any other university outside of Oregon, for example, what you need to do is look at their website, their degree program at the target university, and you want to match as close as possible what they're having their students takes, because basically what you're going to be doing is transferring in course by course and hoping they will count your courses you take here as meeting their requirements. Okay, and that'll be easy in some cases and harder in others. Like for calculus, probably easy, right? Because calculus is calculus almost everywhere. But for example, they might have some specialized programming class that our list of programming classes don't meet. And OIT, for example, does have some very specific classes that are not similar to the ones that you will take here at SWOCC. So for going to places like that, since you're transferring course by course, you want to match those courses as close as possible. But in order to maintain your financial aid, if you're going to go to college at SWOCC or another community college, you need to be pursuing a specific degree program. Okay. Financial aid will not pay for courses that are not meeting the requirements of a declared degree program that you're in. So you do need to declare a degree program. And in that case, your options are, what you want to do is to declare a very flexible degree program so that the constraints of getting your associate's degree are not holding you back from taking the courses you need after you transfer into the other university. So in that case, the AAOT could make sense. But again, because it requires so many general education, so much general education, it might be excessive, right? General education. You might end up with credits needed for your associate's degree that don't actually help you out for your bachelor's degree. Could, or maybe not. I noticed OIT does actually require a lot of general education, so maybe that does work. You just need to look and see what they require for their degree and pick one. But I'm thinking that this one, right, the Eastern, Southern, and Western is going to be a good fit for anyone who's transferring out of state or to OIT because it's so flexible. And the courses that are required are required pretty much no matter where you go, right? You're not going to get out of writing. You're not going to get out of calculus. You're not going to get out of a speech class, probably. Um, you're definitely not going to get out of basic programming sequence and data structures. You're going to be taking that no matter what. So the courses that are required as part of this one are going to be required no matter where you go. And it leaves a lot of electives for you to take specific classes, okay, to satisfy specific requirements at your transfer target. Okay, so each term, as you are getting ready to register for classes, I'd like you to refer back to this program schedule. Try to stick with this as close as possible. We will put together a specific academic plan for everyone if you don't have it already, but it'll mostly look like this. We'll tailor it as required and get you cleared to register. Okay, there's one other thing I want to show you that's relevant to both of these tracks, no matter which you choose, this track or this track, and that is this document. So this is the Oregon Transfer Compass statewide articulation agreement. So basically, this is the agreement that the community colleges and the universities all signed, agreeing on all the stuff that we've talked about over here. Okay, so this is like the official document. And if you take a look at it, I'm going to link this below the video as well. So I do encourage you to take a look at it. You'll learn a little bit about what the guarantees of the degree are. So that's what the first part of the section is. It describes a little bit about the theory behind it and some technical details, like what if you have AP courses and things like that. And if you scroll on down, you'll find that it specifies the requirements, which this is the same information. So basically, I derived all of this from that document, and I think it's probably easier to read on this document, which I made. But they have it derived here. They have it separated into something called core transfer requirements and then major transfer requirements. But it's the same information. The reason I'm showing you this, though, is because there are some details about each university some recommendations each university has and some additional requirements. So notice after we scroll past the course requirements, we see here on this page, there are some minimum grade requirements depending on which university you go to. So for example, Southern Oregon University expects to see a B in CS 161. Okay, so that's important to note if you're going to go to Southern. Same over here, University of Oregon wants to see Bs in these three courses here, which to be honest, I agree with. Computer science major should be at the B level, I think, in order to do well in upper division computer science programs. Okay, and also note that there are some GPA requirements. Okay, so there are some university-specific things to be aware of. Also, if we if we keep on scrolling, we get to a recommended course schedule. So I'm just going to tell you to ignore this because um, we have a specific one that we created here that I showed you. This one is based on our actual course offerings when we offer courses, which is not necessarily the same as the statewide recommendation. For example, they recommended data structures in fall, whereas we offer it in winter, for example. So make sure you look at our catalog, our course schedules, and this document, which I'm providing for SWOCC specific things. All right, and there's some other things that you can look at for once you decide on which university you're going to transfer to, you should take a look and see what other exceptions you might be able to get and what recommendations, I'm doing air quotes on the recommendations there, those universities have made for what electives that you decide to take. So for example, if you go to Southern, they're like, you know what, we don't really care if you take 227, writing 227 instead of writing 122, no problem. Also, if you don't take CS 160, we don't really care as long as you are able to get into CS 161 and do it satisfactorily. So there's things like that. So take a look at the options here. I'm just looking for anything. Yeah, so here, for instance, geology, we're also accepted for the natural science at University of Oregon. Now, here's the page that I really wanted to get to. Okay, so this is where they make their recommendations, air quotes, for electives. Okay, so yeah, you have a lot of electives, but they do kind of want you to take some specific things. They recommend that you take them. And they really are recommendations, but they will make your life easier once you get to their university if you're able to take those. So uh, check these out. Like, for example, Eastern says, you really should have a C++ programming course. And that's for some colleges do the CS 161, 162, 260. Some colleges do those with Python. Some use Java. Um, some might use JavaScript. There are other languages that C Sharp. There are other languages that programming is taught in, but a lot of universities want you to have at least some C++. At SWOCC, we do all C++, so that's not a problem for you. C++ is desired by many programs because it is the closest to the machine. It kind of forces you to understand computing a little bit more than, say, Python. Python is easier to learn, but it's so abstract. It doesn't force you to learn how the computer itself actually works. Okay, so also, if you ever get into embedded software where you're writing like firmware for devices, little handheld things, little devices, that those are normally written in C or similar language because for high performance things or things that can't use too much battery power, for example, you need to really be able to micromanage things in your code, which means you need to think close to the computer. You're thinking about exactly what kind of data you have and exactly where the data is going to go. And whereas Python just kind of does that for you behind the scenes. You don't even know what it's doing. You do your high level stuff, your abstract things, and it just magically does the stuff under the hood. Those tend to be less high performance. Anyway, that's why C++. But if you take a look, for example, Southern would like you to have a web design course, networking course, and so on. So take a look at these and talk to me, and we'll try to get electives that match as close as possible. We're not going to have perfect match with all of these, but we'll get you as close as we can to those. Okay, so these are important to look at once you select your college. Alrighty. That I think is all I wanted to cover there. There's one other document that we'll make together called your academic plan. This is a template for it. So we'll go over that more, but we're going to select your degree. It's on the AAOT now, but we'll select the whichever degree you're on. We'll populate this thing for which term you're going to do which requirement. This is the list of requirements for that degree, and we'll keep that up to date. And we'll have a central, this will be located online on SharePoint, and we'll both have access to it all the time. You'll get a link to it. Okay. I think the last thing I want to say is set up advising appointments for me. I'll send emails when I think about it. Let me stop sharing. I'll send emails towards the end of the term when it's time to sign up for the next term. But feel free to reach out and do advising anytime. It's better really if you do it early. We can go ahead and get it out of the way. So you can reach me on Discord like we do in class. If you're on Discord and can direct message me there, that's a really good way to set up a time. Or also you can use I have a link that you can use to schedule an advising appointment. Okay. I'll provide that link below the video as well. Okay, so I think that's everything we need to know for now. Make sure you check out those documents I've linked, and we will meet each term to make sure you're all situated before you register for classes. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in person. Thanks.